You can see me now. Webcam is now activated. I got a new microphone. This is getting really big stuff for this dominating MMA YouTube channel. But I'm not here to talk about my setup. I'm here to talk about how shit the UFC has been giving us with these pay-per-views. And it is absolutely abysmal what they've been giving us. We're going to go through UFC 317, we're going to go through UFC 318, and then we're going to take a look at UFC 319 because they added a few more fights there that I want to talk about. But let's start with UFC 317, Topuria versus Oliveira, International Fight Week, which is supposed to be the biggest pay-per-view, the biggest event for the UFC every year. Every June, International Fight Week is supposed to have, it's going to have the biggest fights on the card, it's going to have the biggest fights, it's going to be the biggest event, this main event is epic, and wait till you see these prelims, you know what I'm saying? But they've delivered us a pile of dog shit instead of giving us some actually good fights. I mean, so let's just start with the main event, Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. Banger fight. That's an International Fight Week fight. I'm not complaining about that. That is a good fight. However, after that, you get into, Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. Okay, it's a championship fight. We'll take it. That's a good fight. I'm actually looking forward to the fight. Pantoja's going to win, though. Those two fights. But then we get to this. Look at this. Why the fuck is Viviane Araújo versus Tracy Cortez on the main card of International Fight Week? It makes no sense whatsoever. I just saw that. Jack Hermanson versus Gregory Rodriguez, two unranked middleweights, are going to be on the main card of International Fight Week. This is absolute blasphemy what the UFC's been giving us. And earlier today, we were supposed to get Roman Kopylov versus Paulo Costa, but that got canceled. So now we have none. That fight was like all right to begin with. I would have probably put that. That's like a prelim fight for me, really. But they put down the main card, and I'm like, okay, well, it is Paulo Costa. Maybe he'll be exciting this time, after that shit performance against Sean Strickland. But now that fight no longer exists, and it got moved to UFC 319 or 318. But like, International Fight Week should be a 9 out of 10 card. I'm looking at a good 6.5 out of 10 card, carried by the main and co-main event. Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano, amazing fight. I'm looking forward to that one. But, that's like main card opener. That's the main card opener, or maybe headliner of the prelims. These two fights do not belong anywhere near the main card. Anywhere. They should be in the early prelims, maybe the prelims. Because I guarantee you, no one is paying $80 to watch this pile of shit on the main card. No one's going to be paying for $80 for that, dude. I don't know what the UFC is thinking with all this stuff. You know what I mean? So, like, they're giving us this shit, and hold on one second, fix my mic. And then we're given a whole bunch of more shit. Why the fuck is Brandon Royval versus Joshua Vaughn not on the main card, but Viviane Araújo versus Tracy Cortez is on the main card? That makes no sense whatsoever. Make it make sense, dude. Like, honestly. And they're lucky they took Justin Tava versus Jonathan Denise off the main card. Because if that was still on the main card, there would have been fucking problems, dude. You go to... Like, there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... 11 fights on International Fight Week? 11 fights on International Fight Week. Why isn't there 12 fights on International Fight Week? Or 13 fights on International Fight Week? This is the biggest card of the year. I'm sick of this shit, man. This is the biggest card of the year. We've had no good cards this year, except for like UFC 311, which was a good card. I'll give that like a solid 7.5 out of 10. And then UFC 314, which is a good card too. But the February card, Strickland versus Duplessis, that was the worst card of all time. The March card, Burr versus Ankalaev, Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje fell through. That card became like a 5 out of 10 because the main event was kind of boring. And then UFC 315, it was better than, the main event carried. Bilal Muhammad versus JDM was a good fight, but no one really cared. Like, that wasn't a good stacked card, And And then UFC 316 in a couple weeks ago with Sean O'Malley and Merab. That was it turned out better than expected. But we should be getting better cards. I remember last year we got lucky with UFC 298, UFC 299, and UFC 300 back to back to back. All 9 to 10 out of 10 cards. UFC 300, 10 out of 10 card. UFC 299, 9.5 out of 10 card. UFC 298, 8.5 to 9 out of 10 card. These are good stacked cards. UFC 299 had Petr Yan opening the main card. Petr Yan opening the main card for regular pay-per-view. And then International Fight Week, we're getting Tracy Cortez versus Viviane Araujo as the second featured fight on the main card. Like, I'm sick of this shit. Take Tracy Cortez off the main card, put Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van on the main card, and then put like a big fight on there. We lost Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. You have to put like a Yuri Prohaska versus Carlos Olberg, or a Petr Yan versus Marcus McGee, or I don't know, maybe another lightweight fight, like maybe on this card because all the lightweights just fought. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, get this shit off, So, I'm sick of that shit, man. I'm sick of that shit. Now, like, UFC 318 is really no better, This is Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. This is his last fight of this career against Max Holloway. Legend versus legend. Should it be headlining a pay-per-view? No. But is it a good fight? It is a good fight. The more time passes by, the more I look forward to it, which is fine. But since Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway is the main event, you have to support it with a good main card and a good prelims. And I'm looking right now, what I'm seeing through this computer is Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen as a co-main event in 2025 for a pay-per-view. I get it that Brendan Allen's from Louisiana. Put him opening the main card. Like, are we serious? These are Apex warriors. These guys belong in the Apex. This is an Apex main event. This is a crowded fight night co-main event. This is not a co-main event of a pay-per-view. Co-main eventing really not that much hyped up of a fight to begin with. In Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier. And then we have fucking Dan Ige versus Patricio fucking Pitbull on the main card as the feature fight. Dan Ige is literally the gatekeeper of the featherweight division. Patricio Pitbull is a washed Bellator. What is Conor McGregor? Bellator hick. He's a washed Bellator hick. You know what I'm saying? They belong on the prelims. Patricio Pitbull just lost to Yair Rodriguez at UFC 314 and is getting a feature fight again. He's not even ranked in the featherweight division, and Dan Ige is ranked number 12. They both have 8 and 9 losses. What is this shit, man? And then we get Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov from what was supposed to be on UFC 317. I'm looking forward to that fight, but that's a main card. Sorry, that's a main card fight for this type of card. This is a main card fight. This is a prelim fight. This is a prelim fight. Okay. And then, oh my God, look at this shit, man. Look at me straight in the eyes and tell me you know who these two people are. You don't. You don't know who these two people are. Michael Johnson versus Daniel Selhuber. That's a great fight. I'm looking forward to that one. That's a prelim fight. Good. I like that. Francisco Prado versus... I don't even know who this fucker is. Who are these people? I guarantee you, no one knows who these people are. Maybe some, like, really, really hardcore fans are. But who are these people? Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Petrino. Okay, that's a good fight. Yeah. Carly... I don't even... Skip that one. No one cares. Kelly Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. Good prelim fight. I'm looking forward to that one. Neil Magny versus Gunnar Nelson. Good prelim fight. I'm looking forward to that one. Ilkar Malascara versus Bruno Ferreira. Wait, wasn't it supposed to be someone else? I forgot. I think it was supposed to be someone else, but I forgot. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that fight. Ikram Alaskarov is a good fighter. I'm looking forward to that fight a lot. Adam Fugit versus Islam Dulatov. Now, Islam Dulatov is a great fighter, but, like, why? Why is this headlining the prelims on a pay-per-view for Dustin Poirier's retirement fight? Stack Dustin Poirier's card. Like, come on. Don't even get me started about this main event. You know what? No, do get me started about this main event. Why is Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway a fight to begin with? I get it's Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. I mean, it's a great fight. I'm looking forward to it. But Dustin Poirier wins. What happens after that? If Dustin Poirier wins and Max Holloway loses, Dustin Poirier just goes off into the sunset, and Max Holloway is now facing a loss to Dustin Poirier again, his third loss to Dustin Poirier, which does basically nothing for him. So now Max Holloway is one step farther away from the lightweight title picture. If Dustin Poirier wins, if Max Holloway wins, okay, Dustin Poirier loses in the retirement fight. That's pretty sad. But, like, what does that serve? Like, honestly, I don't want to see either of these two win or lose. You know what I'm saying? I definitely don't want to see them lose. But, like, there's no legacy on the line for Dustin Poirier. You should have done Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje 3, you know? Oh, winner takes all fight, you know? This is the rubber match. Whoever wins that one is better. Better lightweight of all time, you know? Even though everyone thinks it's Dustin Poirier. You could have done Dustin Poirier versus Ilia Topuria. Legacy fight. Dustin Poirier versus Arman Tsarukyan. Legacy fight. Getting those type of wins on his resume adds to his legacy. If he picks up another win versus Max Holloway, that does nothing for his legacy. It's Dustin Poirier's last fight. He wanted Ilia Topuria. The UFC made him take Max Holloway. They literally Dustin Poirier literally said they forced this fight to him, you know? So it makes no sense. And then just like this card is so shit, man. Put some good fights on this card. Literally you can't do a title fight because this is a BMF fight. So okay, this is what you do. You do Yuri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. You know, that's a fight that's waiting to happen. I don't know why they're waiting for that to happen anymore. And then you could do, I don't know, I'm trying to think here. You could do Yuri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. I said Petr Yan versus Marcus McGee. You know, you could do a Justin Gaethje versus Arman Tsarukyan. Or you could do a Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Or you could do an Arman Tsarukyan versus Paddy Pimblett. One of those three variations of fight could easily co-main this card. And everyone would love it. And it would make this card 10 times better. But no, the UFC doesn't want to give us amazing stuff. They want to make us watch shit, and we'll eat it up for $80 every single time. Not we, because I stream it illegally, and I'm saying that proud, Dana White. I stream the shit illegally, but you expect this shit to be bought for $80 by other people. This makes no sense, man. God, I'm so sick of this shit, dude. Give us good cards, man. Give us good cards, dude. Like, come on. By the way, you know what pisses me off about John Anik? This is just a side note. When John Anik says, you know, let's say a really good fight. Like, let's say he says, what was it? Sean O'Malley versus Merab happened. And then John Anik was saying, oh, you gotta feel like Sean Shelby did an amazing job here, you know? He always says that stuff. Oh, Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard did an amazing job for this fight. Oh, Sean Shelby really cooked here, you know? He always says that shit. Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard haven't cooked since UFC 300. Maybe UFC 308. But they haven't cooked since UFC 300. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a side note. And everything about John Anik is amazing. But every time he says that, it pisses me off. Nonetheless, Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard did not cook for these cards. Especially for this one, man. Oh my goodness. This is a shit card, bro. This is a shit card. Put Sean Brady versus Ian Gary. You could do that. Sean Brady versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. You can do that. You can do any literally welterweight fight. I bet probably not Joaquin Buckley because he just fought. But he is pretty active. You can ask Joaquin Buckley, hey, do you want to fight Jeff Neal? You could do that. or Joaquin Buckley versus Carlos Pratas. But put a welterweight fight on here, man. Put a good welterweight fight. You could also put a heavyweight fight. Get the heavyweight division moving. God, it's John Jones' fault. I'm not going to get into that because it's a whole separate video. But this is annoying, man. Put some good welterweight contender fights on this card, okay? I'm sick of this shit, man. You got to put It's so annoying, man. That's the worst one. Between UFC 317, UFC 318, UFC 319, that's the worst one. But UFC 319 is not that good either. DDP versus Hamza Chimaev in Chicago. Amazing fight. Everyone's looking forward to that one. You can't, that's a perfect main event, right? No questions asked about that one. Sorry, is my camera obstructing this? Move this. Whoops. You could put, Hamza Chimaev versus DDP, amazing event, main event that everyone wants to watch. No questions asked. Everyone wants to watch this fight. Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura as the co-main event. Yeah, no. We are not watching Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura as the co-main event of a UFC pay-per-view in 2025. That is a prelim fight, man. Come on. That is a prelim fight. If you want to screw us over, okay, fine. Then put it as the opener of the main card. I'm looking at the main card right now. Jared Cannonier versus Michael Page. That's a pretty good fight. That's a main card fight. Maybe not feature fight, but that's okay. I'm okay with that one for now. Edson Barboza versus Dakar Close. Yeah. Prelim fight. Everyone wants this on the prelim. Karine Silva versus J.J. Aldrich. I want you guys to tell me if you know who J.J. Aldrich is. Because I for sure fucking don't. Why is this opening up the main card? This makes no sense, man. Come on. Put Imavov versus Kyle Barrio on this fight, man. Jeez Louise. Fucking hate this shit. Now listen, the prelims are actually pretty good for this card, don't get me wrong, but step up this main card, man. Put a Zhang Weili versus Valentina Shevchenko. If you don't want to do that one, do Zhang Weili versus Jandiroba. I bet Valentina Shevchenko can come around and fight Natalia Silva. You could do that. Like, so sick of this shit, man. Why is this on the main card? Oh my God. Chase Hooper, Alexander Hernandez, really good fight. Chase Hooper's fighting down. I don't know why. Fight up. Ruziboev versus Brian Battle. I fucked up his name. I know who he is, though. That's a good fight. Brian Battle's always fun to watch. No one cares. That's a pretty good fight. I mean, these guys are bums, but I'll take it. And that's a good fight, This is a good prelim so far. And I saw earlier today that Imavov said that he's not waiting anymore, and he accepted the fight versus Kyle Barrio, and I'm okay with that. I like that actually from Imavov. Good for him, because he was waiting around for a title shot, and like, bro, you're not getting you don't wait, bro. Come on. I know you beat Strick. I know you beat Adesanya. Sorry. I know you beat Adesanya, which is a good win. Don't get me wrong. That is an amazing win, and you deserve the next title shot. But Hamza Chimaev is fighting DDP next. You just have to wait. You just have to fight one more time. Just fight a contender. Fight Caio Barrio. And he said he is. So hopefully they put this as, like, the feature fight or the co-main event of this card. Knowing what they're probably going to do, they're going to probably main event it for a fight night maybe. I don't fucking know. In an Apex. Put it as a co-main event. Imavov is still technically the backup fighter because he's also cutting weight. That's the fight to make, honestly. That's the fight to make. If Hamza Chimaev pulls out, Imavov just jumps right in. That's the fight to make. You're still a backup fighter, man. But you're just fighting Caio Barrio. And if you beat Caio Barrio, there's no questions asked. 100% you get the next title shot. No questions asked. Even if Hamza Chimaev wins, they're not going to run the rematch because you get the next title shot. So I like to have that fight. It could potentially be on the card, but man, add some good fights to this card, dude. I'm so sick of the UFC nowadays. The UFC serves us dog shit every month for a pay-per-view and expect us to not complain. They're on autopilot mode. Dana White is on autopilot mode right now, and he expects us to watch this shit for $80 and get away with it. We as a community have got to fight back, dude. We have got to fight back. We have got to, just like what we did with John Jones, Tom Aspinall, you know? We've got to fight back for this shit, man, because this is annoying, man. Jeez. Put some good fights. Make some good pay-per-views again. You don't have to stack it like UFC 300. Don't stack it like UFC 300, but make it good, dude. Make it good, you know? God. While I'm at it, I'm just going to give them predictions for every main event. Dricus du Plessis by round 4. Dricus du Plessis by decision. Max Holloway by round 4 TKO. And Ilia Topuria by round 2 knockout. That was my predictions. You guys don't really care about that anyway. But make some good cards, man. Come on. Make some good cards. At least stack JDM versus Islam. We know that's going to happen. At least stack Tom versus Gon. I'm just saying Tom versus Gon because I know we're not going to get Tom versus John. But stack these cards, man. God. Stack these fucking cards, dude. Sorry. Mic cut out. I don't know how that happened. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, just forget that part, man. I don't know what else to say. Fuck the UFC nowadays. Literally, put anyone else in matchmaker that knows the sport other than Dana White, Sean Shelby, and Mick Maynard. Make some good fights. They expect us to eat. Expect us to like this shit, man. They expect us to say, "Oh, I mean, yeah, who isn't looking for Viviane Araújo versus Tracy Cortez? That's a badass fight." You know, no one is saying that. And if you are saying that, you're a fake hardcore fan. You know you're a fake hardcore fan. No one is looking to Viviane Araújo versus Tracy Cortez. Oh, but Viviane Araújo versus Tracy Cortez is a banger fight. You know, it's a great fight. You know that deserves to be on the main card. Said no one ever. You know. Oh, Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull is a badass fight. Who isn't looking forward to this one? Everyone isn't looking forward to this one, man. Everyone isn't looking forward to this one, dude. Come on. Who isn't looking forward to Kareem Silva versus JJ Aldrich? That's a badass fight. You're lying to yourself if you say anything like this. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I don't know what to say. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.